Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Just to get started, where are you located?
I'm in a suburb of Dallas, Texas.
Oh, dang.
So Plano. Yeah, in a big city, in a big metropolitan area. And so yeah.
Probably pretty competitive then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super competitive. You know, anybody I talk to is like they got several offers on the table. Like
Dang.
several postcards, probably several DealMachine postcards.
I like
Honestly,
I like hearing that's like
yeah,
I feel like most of Texas it's just so competitive and a lot of people would say probably saturated. But um what is your background in real estate investing? Like how'd you get started? What led you to Deal Machine?
I actually, yeah, I've dabbled. I'm probably the picture of inconsistency from an investor standpoint. Um, I'm drawn to the wholesaling piece because I'm a marketer, by trade, and I like the ease of, just assigning properties and stuff. So I've done that off and on for probably since 2012, 2013, something like that. But like super inconsistent, and that's what I'm even learning now. Like having done one with Deal Machine, it's like, it was right around the time where I was like kind of getting, kind of down on driving, and doing a lot of it myself, and kind of slowing down on adding deals to when I got this lead and was like, oh, cool. And then like, realizing it became a deal and everything. And now I'm like, I really wish I would have kept at it because then I would have other stuff in the pipeline, from Deal Machine, which right now I'm in a lull of leads, right? So that's kind of what I've learned from that. But in general, I've just assigned properties. I haven't flipped anything. And I was a real estate. I had my license for years before that, before I kind of started looking at the wholesaling piece, and realizing that that wasn't for me.
Mm.
You know, uh, and then, but I'm in a corporate job right now. I got a regular day job that's, definitely takes all of my day.
Mhm.
So like most of my driving is like, and it's pretty crazy for me to be able to add any kind of volume. It's like I gotta do it at like 6 o'clock. Like I looked at this deal and I noticed that when I looked back at when I added, it was like 6:27 a.m.
Oh,
Because this was in July. It was way back in July, and I was looking at like when the sunrise came up, when like there would be daylight, and so I'd know like, okay, I got 30 minutes to drive there, and then I'll get there right when the sun comes up, and then I can drive and try to add like 50 deals or whatever, 50 leads, and then be able to drive back to log in for work and stuff. Cause like, I gotta be logged in,
yeah.
and so, cause I take my day job obviously seriously. Uh, so like all the driving, it's either early morning or like weekends, or if, after work, if that works out. But, I got kids and stuff. So like,
Oh my
it's literally
God.
like you have to budget, your time for that.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking at when the sun comes up so that I can get to a neighborhood at the time I want to.
But that's like
But,
I know you
and
said
that,
that it's like inconsistency, but you have so much going on and like the fact that you get there, you don't leave when the sun comes up. You get there when the sun comes up.
right. Yeah. So if it's coming up at like whatever it was, 6:19, I'm like leaving at 5:50 or whatever. But I'm a
Oh,
morning person, so it helps. Um, but I know at that time I was really budgeting my time like, man, I want to get, 20 leads a day, or I want to get 50 leads a day. And I know that it was taking me like an hour to do 20. And so if I wanted to get close to 50, I'd need to do at least 2 hours of driving, depending on the neighborhood, obviously. But it was, So I was really getting it down, and I'm trying to, recruit drivers and stuff like that. But obviously that's inconsistent just by nature because, they lose motivation and stuff. But
Yeah.
like I looked in there today and I just like purged a bunch because I had like 80 people in there and I realized nobody had done anything in like a month. So I'm like, I need to purge all that.
You're like,
I'm
time
sure you'll
to
see a lot of that
move on a little bit from some of these
turnover.
people. Yeah. So tell me about
Hmm.
the deal. So you added it in July. Tell me how that played out for you.
Yeah, I saw I added it in July. I got the lead like in mid-October, I think. It would have been maybe early October. And he actually called and I use like a Google line just because it's off my postcard or whatever. And so he called, and so it's a mass number. So I didn't realize I didn't know who it was. So I answered it, and he said, well, there's kind of a language barrier actually, and but he was like, I tried calling you a couple of weeks ago and I never heard back. And I was like, what? Like, I totally missed it. I don't know how. And he was like, but, I got this house, you said, you're interested in buying it. I got something from you in the mail. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And, so, what's the story? And he actually has a couple, he has like several houses. He has, at least 3 that he wanted to sell. And so I was like, well, I'll come look at all of them, just, when, yeah, I can come whenever, and so we set up a time for that, and I came down. I mean, it's like an hour away, so it was one of those where I really was like determined to get there, I guess. And so it's like pretty far away. I get out there, and so I realized that it's like a showing me these houses. He's not even in. He's like, I'm taking pictures and everything, and then he's like, well, the other one's like a block over, and so I go over there, and can you hear me? It says my connection's not good.
Yeah, it went out a little bit. Go back to when you met him at the house, and then go from
Yeah.
there.
So it's a family member I met at the house. Like, I've never actually met the guy that owns them. It's like his brother or whatever that was showing me, because he lives in one of the brother lives in one of them, and then the one that I did the deal on was vacant, and then there's one right next door that was also, he's renting it, and so he has all these he's trying to get rid of, and the one that's vacant was the one that was like I saw the most promise, because the others were like really bad, and not to say that that didn't make a good deal. It's just that he was trying to make money off of these because he's like trying to buy a bigger house for himself or whatever. And so I was kind of slow playing all the 2 that I kind of was like, it's not really, I don't I don't see those happening, because he was kind of throwing them. He's like, what about the other 2? And I'm like, yeah, let me work on those, and I was in the same ballpark actually on all of them. But the one that we did a deal on, he was okay with that. The others he wanted more, and like they were not worth it. In fact, I actually got a second one under contract with them, but the first one I got under contract, it was pretty legit. And then I have right when I got it, I just posted it. I have a Facebook group in Dallas with like 8,000 members, so I just posted there, and I just was able to lock somebody in like within a day, probably day and a half,
Oh my gosh.
and yeah, it worked out. And the guy bought it sight unseen, and I didn't know who he was. He just messaged me like Facebook Messenger and was like, what do I need to do? And I was like, send me a deposit, or send it to this title company and sign this assignment. And so he he actually dropped it off. He's like, oh, I know that title company, and went and dropped it off. And then they sent me a receipt, and I was like, oh, all right, well, we're good then. I guess this one's done.
What?
And
What? That
and
was
so he
like
goes, can I
so
come out there?
painless.
Yeah, for real. And he was like, well, I want to see it. And actually, I was gonna do a showing because I didn't know if I have you have a bunch of tire kickers, and so I was gonna do like a group showing like that next day. I think it was a Saturday, and I was like, so I was gonna show it at 10 o'clock anyway, and so when he did that, I canceled it, and he's like, well, I'll come see it. And so I met him for the first time, the guy that is buying the house or bought the house, at the house, and he was like, oh yeah, because I still thought it was really rough, needed foundation, roof, like it needed everything. And he was like, oh, I love these. And I was like, yeah, he's kind of an older guy, and I was just like, cool, like, he's like, I'm all over it. He's got a private lender and all that stuff, and so I'm like, and he's like, well, you got anything else? I go, well, they got two others, and which is funny because he said when he was in the house, the family member was in there showing it to him, and he said, oh yeah, they offered them to me. And I go, yeah, what do you? He goes, yeah, I'll look at them, but no. So I think they ended up listing the others with a real estate agent.
Wow.
Which I think they're still out there. So but this guy did it and closed. He got a private lender and closed like a week or so ago. But yeah, like you said, it was pretty painless in terms of I didn't have to sweat like, am I going to be able to move this property or not?
Right.
And was able to make a spread on it, and the guy was pretty happy. Having a language barrier and never met the guy that actually owned the house and all that, I mean, it worked out pretty well.
How much, what was the spread, if you don't mind me asking?
So I got it for 160, and the guy signed it for 165.
Nice.
So just like 5.
Oh,
yeah.
But see, I hate, but like when they say just 5, I think of, as a person who has student loan debt, I'm like, oh, 5 would be like primo right there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely see it that way. I mean, it's, but I guess like, as someone who's really inconsistent, because I just, you just want everything to fall into place, and it's like, I know how much driving it took, and I know, because, I see people say it's like takes 200 deals or 400 leads to get a deal. And I'm like, man, DFW, it takes like, I got like 2,000 leads in there. And so I just know how much driving it took. And I'm like, so 5 is good, but it took a lot of work. I mean, it's not easy. And then, you take a little bit of risk because you're putting your name on a contract, and you want to, hold your end of the bargain. Like, I don't ever want to, put my name on a contract and have to like, hey, yeah, I'm in it too much. Like, I'm gonna either have to lower the price or back out. It's risk. And so so I wouldn't say any part of it's really easy, other than actually mechanically it's really easy.
Right.
Transactionally, it's, they wire you the money. I mean, it's super easy. But in the title company, I just I got referred to a title company that just does like 1 million assignments all day long. And she was like, just like clockwork. They actually helped me with my assignment contract because it needed some tweaking. And she's like, oh, I got you. And she tweaked it a little bit for some adjustments I needed. And but the title company makes a big difference, because I mean, he said they were free and clear, and it turns out like he had liens on them. He like owed money, like a mortgage, and I was like, man, that language barrier got me there. That could have really been bad if like he owed more than it was worth or than I offered. That would have been a mess. But she cleared it all up and turned out good.
How I want to know if people who have to deal with a, a hurdle of a language barrier, how did you work through that?
So oddly, I mean, like I couldn't. Well, it's not that he couldn't speak. It's just I didn't understand him. He could text like easily, like so over text we were good. It was just like over the phone. It was choppy. I mean, I just can't, and that's nobody's fault. It's just people are culturally different, and so but he was super nice and super you know just understanding, and like when I said I need to see it or I want to put a lockbox on the house or I want to come show some people, and he was just like yeah, whatever you need, and he understood what I was doing. He understood the game. Like obviously he owns several houses, so like but on the surface it seemed like, does this guy know what's going on? But then it's like, yeah, he knows what's going on. And so I felt pretty good, and he had some rapport. He was really thankful and stuff like that. And maybe we'll do something down the line in terms of like if he has another house to sell or something like that. I don't know. But I think I'll definitely keep in touch with the guy that's going to flip it.
Oh yeah.
Because he seemed like he could take on the roughest of houses. So I was kind of that's a good connection. And then just putting a house out there. I mean, like I said, I've done a few others, and every time you put a house out there, it's like you make a ton of connections of like people that are like, man, anything you need, like let's find a way to work together. Let's find a way. Like if you need money, if you have a house you want to partner on, or if you want to flip something, you need a contractor. Like people are like, that's just I guess the nature of the business. Everybody wants to make connections, and so you got to be open to like networking all the time, because people really reach out.
I love it.
So it's cool.
Well, congratulations on your deal. I know that does take, we do tell people now, I know we said it was like 200, but realistically, like you said, in those high volume areas, you have to have like 1,500 plus leads in, and that's a lot of freaking leads to be driving. So if there's anything we can do to help you moving forward, like please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But I'm so glad we got to connect and like talk about your story and hear things. And I want to get you actually a new hat. I like this one, but I want to get you a new hat with DealMachine. So when I'll send you an email after this. Send me your headshot, and then I'll send you a link that will go to a swag shop that you can just put a hat in there, and it will comp it out at the end. But
headshot, you said?
Yeah, headshot.
Did you say you need a headshot? Okay.
Yeah, picture of you or your family. I mean, it doesn't have to
okay. Cool.
It doesn't have to be a realtor stance, like smiling picture. It can just be like you sitting on a bench or something.
I got one. I got a headshot.
Awesome.
No worries.
Well, thank you so much again. It was so great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. And the app's cool. I mean, I always bug the help. I'm sure a lot of people do, but like I always bug like the help chat thing.
Oh, the chat.
And like they're awesome. They help a lot. In fact, like every time I'm like, this feature sucks, or this feature doesn't work, or something's broken or whatever, like it gets fixed. Which is there's not many apps on my iPhone that I can just like talk to the company and be like, this is not working. And they're like, we're on it. And then they like fix it. Like I don't know who does that, but it seems like DealMachine is like, it's like, there's like 4 people over there just like, oh, somebody said something, let's fix it, but I know y'all are bigger than that, but like, seems like it's very approachable and like y'all, so that's pretty awesome.
We've
and there's been features that are actually that I've suggested that actually got implemented, and I'm sure it's because a lot of people suggested it, but like when I look back and say like a year ago I asked for this and now it's there, it's like, that's dope.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that.
Just feedback.
No, I love feedback. And that was the support. Literally, you kind of did call it out though. We had maybe like 3 people that like just worked their little tail off, and we've just recently grown,
Yeah.
but it was like just
Yeah.
a handful of people that took it and ran and made sure. So I'm so glad, and thank you for sticking around and trusting us.
I'm in it. I'm invested. So yeah, I gotta be more consistent, and I'm gonna put a lot more deals in, and then hopefully we'll be a bigger success story.
I love
For
it. Well,
sure.
tell me, follow up with me when you hit more, and I want to hear all about them.
I will. I will. In fact, I look at a lot of your content, on Facebook and stuff like that, because it's super helpful. Like the stuff you've done with like some of the bigger wholesalers, like Zach, what's his name, Booth and stuff. And like y'all's content is like, I look at y'all's and like bigger pockets. That's like I just eat it up, right? And in fact, like being on with you it's like right there, like you and then bigger pockets. That's like you've made it. You're on with Elise.
Oh my
So
gosh, that makes my heart so happy. You have no idea. I love connecting and getting to know
y'all
y'all.
have good content.
I appreciate it because
Good.
we've being one of the like original kind of OG people, it's like you do so many different things.
Mhm.
So now that I'm in one role, I want to make sure
Yeah.
I asked David to do these success calls because I was like, well, I don't do chat support anymore, and I don't get to talk to anyone because we're COVID. I want to get to talk to our members because then we build friendships, and then when I visit Dallas, I can be like, oh hey yo, I can go see James and see what's up.
For sure. For sure. And I'm gonna I used to do meetups before COVID. And so yeah, you'd have to come in at a time we do a meetup. And because like I said, I had that Facebook group and we got a pretty good turnout when we do those meetups. So
Send me
come in and be keynote speaker.
I'll take that. But send me the link to that Facebook group and I'll put it in the description of this video when we post it. And that way people can join
nice.
if you want.
Awesome. We'll do it.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay.
So good. And have a great weekend. Okay. Relax.
I will. I'm going to drive, but yes, I'll relax.
Right. Relax while driving. All right. Bye, James.